Hello, Book Talk. Welcome to my live interview. It's going to be with Nicole MacCarron. I'm just going to go and find her so we can do the live thingy-majingy. Let's see where you are. Have you gone live yet? And we're going to have a lovely bookish chat all about books and new releases and journeys. Let's see. Let's go there. Oh, here we go. Hello.
Hello.
I've got my very
It
annoying.
works.
I like this crown, but it is quite annoying. And I've decided with
It's
all of
cute.
my interviews, I'm going to have one of my crowns. So
I like it.
yeah, that's not going to get in the way at all, is it?
Yeah, good luck. Good luck
Yeah,
ignoring
yeah.
that. Wait, mine's here somewhere. Hold on. Where's my crown?
Awesome.
Here it is. I don't know what's going to stay on my head if I just plop it up there, but let's
Yeah,
see.
I need bobby pins to keep
There we go.
them in place. There we go. Oh, I love yours. Isn't that
There.
beautiful?
Thank you. Oh yeah,
I
that's going to be
do.
tricky.
Right, let me do official introduction and then we can chat. So, Book Talk and BookTube, this goes onto my YouTube channel. Welcome to my live conversation with Nicole MacCarron. Am I saying that right? MacCarron? Yeah?
Yes, you got it.
Brilliant. Author of Hazels Shadow and Hazels Mirror, some young adult ghosty spooky stuff I started reading and yes, drew me right in. I can't wait to finish the book. It's very exciting. So, tell Book Talk a little bit about your books for those who may not know you.
Yeah, so Hazel's Mirror was the first book.
Yeah.
It is about a psychic who gets trapped in a haunted house during a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
And it's loosely based on my hometown here in Canada, which is unusual because now we have a zombie book with no guns,
Yeah.
which I was
Yeah.
really enjoying. Yeah, so the characters have to get creative. And then the second book is called Hazel's Mirror, and that one is sort of about the aftermath of the massacre that goes down
Okay.
and the characters dealing with that.
Absolutely. And when you named it Hazel's Mirror, is there a mirror
I'm not
involved
gonna
or is that more of a metaphor for other things?
there is a mirror
Okay.
involved, yes.
Cool.
Not a particular one, but
Okay.
it's mirrors are very important to the theme of the whole book.
That's what I like. One of my books has a lot of mirrors in them, and I love the concept of mirrors and portals and all of that kind of stuff. Opening doorways to other places, etc. So anything that's got mirrors in
I
it,
think you'll like this then.
I will. I know I'm reading it and I am liking it already. So I need to get through book one so I can read book two as well. So absolutely, yeah. So how long ago are these your first two books that you published?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So how long have you been writing?
Oh my gosh, forever.
Yeah.
I like excuse me, I wanted to be a writer since I was like 6. I think that's the first time I remember saying it out loud. And then I wrote my first book when I was 12,
Yeah.
entire thing.
Yeah.
And I thought I was just going to get it published, right? No problem, so easy. And then I was really frustrated for years because I didn't know how to get past that point because I was 12.
Yeah.
And then when I went into university, I actually started doing more. I did NaNoWriMo and, writing courses.
Yeah.
And still I was stuck and I didn't understand what to do. And then after I wrote Hazel's Shadow, which was the 6th book, I think, in all, I was like, all right, that's it. I'm going to self-publish. Like I'm not waiting anymore. I've been waiting my whole life. The end. I'm doing this.
So had
So
you
I found
been
20 books.
yeah, had you been querying agents then with these other books that you'd written? Yeah.
Not with the other ones, no. But I did, I got some advice from people saying like, go and get this book from the library, which tells you names of a bunch of agents for this year. And I went and I did my research and I wrote all these names down. And then I tried querying them for Hazel's Shadow.
Right.
I was at that point where I felt like that was the best one anyways.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just wasn't getting anywhere. And I was like, I don't want to wait forever to do this. So I just took it into my own hands.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's the wonderful thing about self-publishing is that control that you get back, and that any mistake is yours to make and learn from, and you don't have to rely on anybody else. It's totally up to you. So I'm going to try and move that up a bit. I think that might be better. Dangling between my Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah,
stay.
I couldn't
Yes.
keep mine on either. I
Yeah.
move my head and my hands too much to
I
keep
will.
that thing on, just floating.
Okay, let's try that. That's a bit better. Okay. I'm stubborn. I'm too stubborn. I'm like, once I decide to do something, I'm like, yeah, there we go. Exactly.
That's
Um,
fair.
yeah. So, do we have more books coming from you? What can we expect?
Oh, big time. I haven't started anything yet, but I'm a writer.
Yeah.
I will be doing this forever.
Yeah.
I can't see a life where I'm not writing
Absolutely.
books. So, yeah, I'm really hoping that I will have another Hazels book. I want it to be a trilogy.
Yes.
And it's funny because originally it was supposed to be a standalone.
Yeah.
So I wrote it and I wanted kind of like a dark ending.
Yeah.
But then the advice I kept hearing for indie publishers was that you should have a series because
Yeah.
then people have a buy-in towards your books.
That's true.
So I was like, well, I'll think about it. And eventually, Hazel's Mirror was the title that came to me first. I was like, oh, I kind of want to play with that.
Yeah.
And so eventually I had this whole book, and I'm hoping the same thing will happen again for a third one.
Yes. Yeah. Or sometimes, it might take a bit longer and the idea will come to you, at some other time and things like that. So, and do you think you'll stay within the young adult, ghosty, creepy kind of genre, or do you want to explore other areas?
Probably close to that area. There might be a little bit of meet up in crossover genres, right? Like, because I really enjoy fantasy and like not historical, but like old-timey fantasy, if you know what I'm saying.
I do.
So yeah, I could see myself going in that direction, and I don't want to really limit myself because as part of being creative. But again, that's the advice they tell you, is to niche down and stay in one zone so people know what to expect.
I think, I don't know. It's tricky, that one. I mean, my favorite author, for instance, is Dean Koontz. So anything he writes, I will read. And I think that's where I got my love of tense, supernatural kind of stuff. And, if he wrote dystopian, yeah, I'm still going to read that because I like his voice. And I kind of feel that because I write horror, dystopian, fantasy. But I feel like they're all kind of part of that same umbrella, aren't they? So they're not too far
I agree.
out of, and even when you think like horror, for instance, you've got, okay, let's say serial killer horror, you've got detective horror, you've got supernatural horror, and then there's the paranormal, which is also horror, but is that paranormal or is it, it gets very confusing when you try to figure out what your genre really is. And then, dark fantasy, psychological horror, it's all of those things. Tricky.
Yeah. Like, in some ways we can play with it a lot as long as we are, following a similar pattern in the genre. Yeah, like as you're saying, like we could cover any of those ones and probably get away with it. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't have any plans to do like nonfiction or anything like that. But I like to keep the options open because
Absolutely.
Creativity, like you got to go where it takes you.
Well, that I need to write from the heart myself. I don't think I could write to market or write, potentially even ghost write, because unless I'm feeling it, I think that would come across.
I know.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Really tricky. But
I mean, I admire people who can, but that's hard.
Yeah. I think unless I'm feeling the passion about it, maybe, I don't know. I haven't really tried to write something that I didn't really want to write. Apart from my latest book, I've been working with my agent. I'm just like so tired of the edits, and I know that once it goes to publishing, there'll be more edits, and I'm like, no, I don't. I'm done. I'm done.
And editing is so hard. Yeah, it's like you get the excitement of the writing process, the drafting part, and then you have to look at it like 8 more times, and you're just like, can I just publish this thing?
Yeah, exactly. And I think with my first 2 rounds with my agent, I wasn't really hitting the mark, so it got really frustrating for me. I was like, but there you go, these things happen. So how did you first discover Book Talk? How long have you been in the community? Tell me about
that. So I joined at the end of January, beginning of February, I think. And it was because a friend of mine said, hey, have you heard of Book Talk? And she is not, she's not a writer or anything like that. She just went on TikTok to check it out. And then she said, hey, I think maybe you should look into this because this might be an option, for get in on the ground floor. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so, and I was thinking, no, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then I got on here and I was like, okay, this is fun. I'm really enjoying watching these videos. I could see myself trying, and it was scary at first,
Yeah.
putting yourself out there. And I definitely
Definitely.
tried a lot harder to like make myself look nice. And now
Yeah.
I have videos where I'm in my pajamas,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like you definitely relax a bit more. And I am so glad that she mentioned it to me because
Absolutely.
it's fun. I've gotten more sales out of this and more interactions with
Yeah.
people than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Um, like Facebook seems to be dying. Instagram is
Yeah.
is you're really limited in who you can reach,
Yeah.
and TikTok is just like this wide world of readers
Absolutely.
and authors who want to actually engage with you,
Yeah.
and they get to
Absolutely.
see your face.
Yeah.
You don't
Well,
see people's faces so
yeah.
often.
And because like if you're on Twitter, I mean, Twitter has been like my main platform, but I much prefer TikTok. And I kind of think with Twitter, you can read things and you can, interpret it in totally the wrong way. But at least when you're watching on TikTok, you see the person, you see how it's delivered in the tone that it's delivered. And, you get to know that person so much quicker than on other social
Yeah,
media platforms. So I love it. I think it's fantastic. It really makes me giggle. It's a real bright spot in my day when I'm scrolling through my TikToks and
I know. I get
especially,
a good laugh almost every day.
well, this is it. And there are some authors, who are so good at doing the funny. I mean, I try, but I'm not naturally funny. So I really giggle and I just think, how do they pick these sounds and then know what to do with that sound? It's incredible, just that the way that brain works. I
Yeah,
just
there's
yeah,
talent out here.
yeah, yeah, like Oscar, Oscar-winning talent. Yeah, it's good.
Totally. I
Yeah,
know. It's so clever.
yeah, it's
And it's a
incredible.
lot of work too. So like I have
Yeah,
so much respect for people on here who are like posting, 3 times a day. I could never. I have a full-time job, so
yeah,
obviously
yeah, yeah.
that takes a huge part of my time. But
Absolutely.
yeah, there are some out here who are just like they're killing it, and it's
Yeah.
very impressive.
Well, I'm definitely making use of the draft folder now because when I have a season of, ideas, and then I'll just record them all, and then at least I can, then I can post regularly and not have to worry about my content or what do I say or something like that. So that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
smart. Although it's scary because that draft folder, if the app needs an update or something, you lose all your drafts, which is
Uh,
that freaks me out. So
oh,
I try and save things on my phone, but then the quality is not as good as when you do it straight on TikTok. So it's a tough call.
that makes me sad.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
okay. I didn't know that. Now I've learned something. Oh well. Okay. What does your plotting process look like? Are you a plotter or how do you approach writing a book?
So with Hazel's Shadow, I more sort of just like felt where it was going and it flowed pretty well. And I didn't have like a major plotting process. I just kind of I floated ideas and jotted down like a sentence or two here and there. I had a general idea of where it was ending, but I didn't actually know until I got there. And then I was like, oh, here's what's happening.
Good.
And then I had to go back and alter a couple little things, right?
Absolutely.
And then with Hazel's Mirror, because I had the title first and not really
Yes.
an idea of what I was going to do with it, then I absolutely had to do some plotting. And again, it wasn't like major, like I didn't have all the scenes done,
Yeah.
but I jotted down for each chapter what was the one thing that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I knew roughly what the ending would be like.
Yeah.
And there were still tons of surprises along the way because it was still open to a bit more movement and change.
Yeah.
But this one was really hard for me to write.
Yeah.
It really was. If a lot of the time, even with those points jotted down,
Yeah.
it felt like I was just walking in the dark and I wasn't going to know what was next until I took another step.
Yeah.
So it was just like,
And I
oh,
think,
it was hard.
I mean, when you're writing a sequel or a trilogy or however long your series is, obviously the character arc is something that you have to think about because you would have had your arc in your book one, but you also need to have an
Yeah.
arc that goes over the whole series. And then you think, well, they've learned maybe their big lesson in book one, so what are they going to learn in book two? And that all gets a lot more complicated, I think,
It
and needs a
does.
lot more
Yeah.
thinking. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And especially when I had thought I'm writing a standalone. you know, the arcs were already there. So then when the second one came around, I really had to come up with things that matched, but also were in response to the traumatic events that had happened. So that's where my tie-in was. It was kind of coping with the grief.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
That will put new pressure on her in those situations that, absolutely, like PTSD potentially, or, you know, any of that kind of stuff. So, because, I mean, I'd love to read about PTSD in a zombie apocalypse world, because, to be honest, you know, a lot of the books and movies you get is just slash, stab, stab. But, you know, I would be a quivering mess in a corner, you know, rocking myself, you know, where are those characters?
The reality,
you know? So it's good to see some humanness with these stories. So, I mean, I don't know, are you a fan of The Walking Dead? Do you watch that?
Yeah, I watched, I think, like 5 seasons, and I enjoyed it. But one of my issues with that show was that, first of all, guns, always the answer is guns.
Yeah.
And second, it becomes about the conflict with people.
Yes, very much.
It's always, there's problems with people instead of the zombies. And for me, I was like, people would work together in these situations. Like, why are we always assuming that people are the enemies? So I didn't want to do that. I wanted a team
to do that. Yeah, I mean, I find The Walking Dead fascinating in terms of character. And my husband, he won't watch things like that. He hates them, and he'll say, you know, oh, how can you watch all that gross zombie stuff? And I don't even like the stabby parts. And I said, it's not about zombies. It's just not about zombies, as you say. It's about the people and the conflict in that world. But it is interesting to watch them going from being terrified of these things in season 1 to season 10, just walking and, you know, and you do desensitize to I mean, I do get that. I would still be a quivering wreck in the corner, I think. But, you know, I'm not sure I'd ever get used to. Although I think I would choose Lucille as my weapon. I don't think I could get too close. Yeah. But that's a whole other conversation, you know. I digress.
True.
Digress. So we've learned a little bit about you as a plotter. What does your editing process look like? What do you do? How do you approach it?
So mine was really sort of unusual this time in particular, because last time I had reached out to a couple of friends who were starting an editing company, so I asked them to help me with it. And then they disbanded their company. They had different projects they wanted to do, so they went on their own way. So then I was a little bit stuck, like, well, what am I going to do this time? I don't know somebody and trust somebody specifically, so I have to reach out there and find somebody out in the world. And that's where TikTok came in handy. I found an editor on there, sounded good. She sent me a sample, and I liked what she did, so I chose her. But up until that point, I was struggling with my editing. I didn't want to do it. I was burnt out from teaching during the pandemic on top of writing a book. And I just was like, oh, this is awful. So what I ended up doing was I also went to TikTok and I said, why is it taking me 16 hours to do 1 chapter? Like, this is going to take me of all time. And what can I do to make this go faster? And some of the advice that I got was game changing, absolutely game changing for me. You know, working with timers, shutting off your internet. There was things like that you typically hear. But one suggestion was, why don't I try to find beta readers who are willing to read a couple chapters at a time instead of trying to get the whole book done, giving it to them, then having to wait for them to give it back before I go to my actual editor. So what I did was I did 3 chapters, sent it to the beta readers. While they were reading it, I did the next 3 chapters. So every week they were getting 3 more. And that way I felt motivated because they were saying, oh, I can't wait for the next one.
Absolutely.
Or like,
and then
oh, hey, before you move on.
Yeah, like mini deadlines to get the next chunk ready. You know, that's a really great idea. Yes. I love that. Yeah.
It helped a lot.
Wow.
It was
fantastic.
If I can do that again, I absolutely will.
Yeah.
It was huge for me.
And do you think your beta readers' feedback, was there anything major that you might have changed based on suggestions or not?
There was mostly just little things. Like, I am a very clean writer and I knew that ahead of time. But they were able to catch, you know, from spelling errors to like, well, hold on a second. And the drinking age in British Columbia, my character is drinking underage. Now I definitely have to say something about that. Like, that's kind of a big deal. So there were things like that I had to go in and make adjustments. And Actually, it was my editor that caught that one, but there was things similar to
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
And luckily it wasn't like major plot changes,
Yeah.
because my editor was lined up for about a month after I started that process. So it was all very, very quick for me.
Yeah.
Uh, I would recommend more space between the beta readers and that in
Yeah.
case of huge issues,
Yeah.
but this is what it was for me this time.
So does your editor, does she do the big picture stuff, or was she more of a line editor, or what did she do for you?
She was more of a line editor.
Yeah.
And I would be interested in doing more of like the character stuff next time, because it was so hard, but I was trying to,
Yeah.
pinch pennies really,
Yeah, absolutely.
trying to do as much as I could on my own because it gets very expensive.
It does.
But,
It does.
as things improve, hopefully my books will sell more and then I'll be able to invest in having somebody help me with that instead of taking it all on myself. But we'll see. I might not be able to relinquish control of that.
Yeah. No,
It's something I gotta try, right?
I mean, for me, it's always those developmental suggestions that I need, just because I think my the bit where I doubt myself the most is when I have finished my first draft and I need to make potentially big changes and I worry I'm going to make the wrong decision, or I don't change enough, and I always need someone to tell me what to do. Yeah, that's my scary part. So what part of the process do you find the hardest or most challenging?
It's that editing part.
Yeah.
But it's strictly because I'm bored of it. Like
Yeah.
it definitely comes down to the fact that I want to be done.
Yeah.
You write the end and you're excited and you're happy and you're like, okay, next part. And then it's like, get back in your chair, sit down every day,
Yeah.
go over the same thing. It's a real struggle for me. That is absolutely the hardest part. The rest of it I enjoy. I enjoy like the tangled mess sometimes. I enjoy undoing the puzzle pieces, but oh gosh, the editing.
I'm so with you on that. And because my favorite part is writing the first draft, and I know a lot of people hate that because they struggle to keep motivated, but I love that part because it's when it all comes alive. This story that's been in my head for so long, it just comes to life. So which bit do you enjoy the most, out of the whole process?
Definitely the drafting part. And I do my best to really enjoy being done as well, because I know some of us will finish and we'll go, okay, next thing. So I'm trying to be better at celebrating. But overall, I think it is the initial writing part for me. The first draft, that rush, that running through, the surprises that come up along the way. Like I had a character this time who was supposed to be in the book for literally like 2 lines, maybe 2 pages, and she decided she was gonna stay, and she became instrumental in like the big scene, and I did not see it coming, and that was such a thrill as an author to be like, excuse me, who's writing this thing?
I love it.
You know what I mean?
I think that's when you really know that your character has become a real character, a real person, and they have depth, and they decide they're going to start making decisions. I love it when that happens. It's my favorite part of it.
Yes.
So much fun.
You're right. You've done a good job when that happens.
Definitely. Oh, that's so exciting. Yeah. Do you have any interesting writing quirks of any kind?
Well, that's kind of hard to say. I like to go outside. So like I will stuff my laptop in a shoebox. I don't know if you've tried that trick.
So
you put it in there so it shades it. And so I'll go and sit out like on my patio in the backyard and write. And it's still hard to see the screen, but I just love to be outside, and sitting at a desk inside drives me crazy. So writing in the winter is especially hard for me, but because here snow, it's very cold. So I try and get outside as much as I possibly can. But I don't think I'm very weird about the process. Like I'll write down things from dreams sometimes if I can remember them. But or fears too. I get inspired by fear a lot.
Absolutely.
So I work with that. But like not typical. I don't think I'm that weird.
Nothing like, you have to have face at 12 o'clock you have to face the sun and eat a jelly bean or something.
No, nothing like that for me. We'll see. Maybe in a few years we'll have developed some quirks.
Develop something. Yeah. I mean, I drink a lot of tea. Obviously, I'm in Britain. And I never drink it. It's always going cold because I get busy, and then I have to make a new
Yeah.
one. And yeah, I'm constantly drinking tea, but I like you. I don't think I've got anything particularly odd. I don't know.
Nothing super weird.
Yeah.
Typical writer stuff, right?
Yeah.
It might be odd to some people,
Yeah.
but for us it's pretty normal.
Yeah. What is your favorite childhood book?
Oof. Oh man, I love so many.
You can say more than one. That's cool.
Yeah, so there's a series that I have talked about on TikTok before, and it's kind of like a sort of almost like a cult classic in a lot of ways, because there are certain people who are like, that book, yes, and they're so excited, and other people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So
Okay.
it's called The Prydain Chronicles.
Oh, I don't know.
By Lloyd Alexander.
Okay.
Ah, man, see, this is just it. Like, so many people don't know it at all.
Oh,
But the second book is called The Black Cauldron, and a lot of people recognize that title. Yeah, so Disney tried to make a movie out of it, and they crammed the first two books together, and they did like the worst job. It was awful. But that series,
I remember liking the movie actually.
Did you?
But I hadn't. Yeah. I don't think I'd read the book. I don't. Yeah. So who knows? That might make a difference.
Yeah, there's a very big difference between them. But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Some friends are here. Hello.
Yay.
Yeah. Anyway, I just absolutely love that series. It's a fantasy series. It's about this assistant pig keeper trying to be a hero.
Yeah.
Oh, just like the characters are so cute. They're all character is just, it's so like heartwarming, and there's growth, and I just loved it from the get-go, not to mention just the adventure and the odd stuff that happens. Of course, reading it as a writer, I'm going, okay, there's some things here that could be improved upon, but as a kid, and I still reread it, and I just go, man, this guy has some magic happening here. It is so good. So that is definitely one of my favorites.
Styles have changed over the years, obviously, and you know, things that were published when we were kids would not be published now. And I remember because I was working on a Wizard of Oz retelling, and I went to read the book. I never actually read the book. Loved the movie, and I read the book. I just thought, this is so badly written. It was like it was all omniscient point of view, told from a narrator, like you're sitting on Grandpa's knee kind of thing. And I just thought, there's no agency. So, and obviously I love the story because I love the story, but I just thought, wow, this would never get published today, you know.
Yeah.
But it's
yeah, you're not wrong. There's lots of things like that where you look at it and you're like, oh, I could do better maybe. You know?
That needs an edit.
Yeah, right. Which is kind of, you know, heartening. Makes you feel a bit better.
Did you have to deal with COVID in your books, or were you able to skip past that? I mean, obviously, because the zombie problem is kind of a pandemic, you know, as well. So
yeah, it was really funny. I published it March 2020. So that's when it all went down here. And I was like, I wanted to write my entire life. I finally have the guts to pull the trigger, and bam, lockdown, no launch party. It's all canceled. But yeah, you're right, because it was sort of like a bit of a pandemic situation in the book. I kind of was like, maybe this might be like the time for people to read this and be interested in this. So one of the things that I did was I made it free for 2 weeks right at the end of June, when all of the grade 12s were graduating and they were missing out on their, you know, their proms and their celebrations and things. So I just put out, I called the radio, I said, tell the grads it's free for them for this time period. Go get it. And so that's what they did, which was really, really nice.
That's great.
And so, I just wanted to help them celebrate, because like that was awful for them. If my launch party getting canceled was so awful for me, imagine your graduation getting canceled.
Absolutely.
So that's what I tried to do. And because Hazel is also that same age, I thought, you know, maybe they could actually relate to this and feel like, you know, in some ways I'm not alone. Absolutely. You know, I mean, maybe I was overthinking it, but I thought, you know, let's put it out there and see.
And very kind and nice, and I think that's lovely. And a good marketing strategy as well. So you know, it kind
of ticked a few boxes.
No, absolutely. So, I mean, that brings me on to talking about marketing. What do you do to market your books? You know, what's your method, as it were?
That is, you know what, I was talking about editing being my biggest struggle, but probably
Yeah.
marketing is right up there too. I think it is for all of us,
Yeah.
right? Like I haven't hit the magic trick that does it for me yet, but because I'm such a new author, I figure like I got to get a few more books out and then I can really concentrate on doing ads and
Yeah.
things. So I will at odd times, I'll do Amazon ads. I've dabbled in the Facebook ads, which cost a lot of money and didn't
Yeah.
get me a lot out of it. TikTok honestly has been the
Yeah.
biggest thing. The reach that I get here, the support that I get here, that's been helping me to make these sales. And this way I've got like, I think more word of mouth. A
Yeah.
friend described it as going the grassroots method.
Yes.
So like when you have
Yes.
indie music and you go and you play locally and you slowly get bigger.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what?
It is.
That's
It's
kind of
very
what
much
it
like
feels
that.
like.
And more so than like
Yeah.
any other social media. I mean, they always say take one
Hmm.
platform and do it well. I find myself on everything doing all of them badly, you know. But you know, I don't sell books on Twitter or Instagram or stuff like that, but I do on TikTok. So,
Hmm.
you know, there is something about TikTok. I think it's just the community who really wants to be there. Um, and
Yeah.
it's fantastic, isn't it? And I think they get the opportunity to know you as the author as well, which you don't see as much on Instagram and Twitter. So yeah, they feel closer
Yeah.
to you. So
And in the past
yeah,
too, like, we have all these famous authors that we knew nothing
yeah,
about. We didn't really see them. They would do interviews here and there, and you'd come in and you'd see those interviews. But I also think that's why a lot of authors got away with a lot of things because you didn't
yeah.
actually see the face
That's true.
behind it,
That's true.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
And now we are human beings and we have feelings, and these
Yeah,
people are talking to us and connecting with us
yeah,
and holding us accountable. And
yeah.
we're just, I think we're just in such a better place now.
Absolutely. And you're totally right. I mean, as I mentioned, like Dean Koontz being my favorite author, when I lived in California, I'm actually American but grew up in England.
Oh,
And
okay.
when we lived in California, we were in the same town as him. And the only reason I knew that is because at the back they have that about the author paragraph, and that's all you had. You know, you
Right.
didn't have fan pages and things like that. I mean, you could have a mailing list. I think they sent you physical stuff, but but I love to read his books, the ones that especially were set there, because I was right in the
Mm,
town and I could totally picture. But yeah, I knew nothing about him. It's not now until you have the internet age where you can actually look these people up and get to know them a little bit more and stuff like that.
yeah.
But yeah, it's so much more accessible, which is, I think is, and even on TikTok when you see some big name authors having a good time, I think it's great. I've been enjoying watching those who
Yeah,
shall
me
not be
too.
named.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it like the grassroots method works.
absolutely.
I mean, I'm hoping that it works.
Yeah,
I shouldn't claim that already,
yeah,
but we've seen it work in other areas.
yeah,
And so I'm hoping that TikTok is the way that books can have that actual grassroots success,
yeah,
like that long term, that hang in there, that meet people, that talk to people, be kind, and get somewhere on your own, your own
absolutely.
personality and your own writing.
Yeah. And I think coming in, in this year to Book Talk, where it's now just starting to explode, and big authors
Hmm.
are getting on it, agents are getting up, publishers are getting on it, all sorts of people, it is really the time to be here and have that
Hmm.
following already and build on that, because I think if you're in it from the beginning, it's so much better to have help build that community. So it's a great time. I can't wait to see where it all goes with Book Talk. Really, I think it's fantastic. Yeah,
Me too.
yeah, really
Happy to
good.
be here.
Yeah, yeah, and just getting to know people you wouldn't normally, chat to, and books that you wouldn't hear of
Yeah.
otherwise. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we're breaking through that market that blocks us out,
yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Breaking through those gatekeepers, taking our chances.
Yes, yes, we are with our crowns, which I took off. Yeah.
Yes. All of
So,
our little quirks.
is there anything that you think that surprised you about the process of publishing a book, writing the book, that you weren't expecting when you went through the process?
Um, I think marketing was something that I kind of took for granted a little bit
Yeah.
because initially I always did think that I was going to traditionally publish. I just
Mm.
thought that was going to happen for me because, you know, I was a little kid dreaming and I thought, yeah, so that's what I'll do. And so what I had to sort of come to terms with was um, that it was within my power to do something about this.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have to be sitting there waiting for other people to do the job. I could actually go forward and learn how to do this other piece of it and work hard, be learning constantly, but I could actually do that myself.
Yeah.
And ideally, I would like to hire someone at some point because it is a lot of work. It is another job on top of all of these other things. And so that was a hard lesson. Yeah, I honestly thought that somebody else would be doing that for me.
Yeah.
But I think I'm hopeful that I will get there and I can still hire somebody, but then I'm the boss.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a publisher who's the boss, right? Absolutely. So I think it'll be worth it in the long run.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still figuring it out. It's going to be a process.
Yeah, it does take a long time. And as Amazon and Facebook and that they change the way, you know, their algorithms work and all that kind of stuff, it's a constant goalpost. And to be honest, I'm in a group with 40 other authors where we all debuted the same year, and I'm the only indie author. They are all traditionally published. They don't do any less marketing than I do. They still have to be chasing down, you know, they're all middle grade and young adult authors, chasing down school visits, chasing down opportunities, festivals, posting on social media. They're doing all the things that, I mean, they're not doing ads, but they're doing everything else. You know, just because you get a traditionally published deal doesn't mean it's going to be done for you, you know, and the more you do, the more they will do. You know, it's kind of a symbiotic relationship. It's not actually any easier. So
I've heard that.
Yeah. That's
so in some ways.
Exactly. And as you say, if you can hire someone to do it for you, that's absolutely the way forward, isn't it? So is
that's my thought.
Yeah, success looks like for you to be able to hire the person that can do that, maybe make it your full-time job.
Well, I'm a teacher as well. I'm teaching kindergarten this year, which I really, really love. And so I have a really hard time thinking of myself as only a writer or only a teacher, because I've mentioned that I wanted to be a writer since I was a kid, but I also wanted to be a teacher since I was a kid. They both ideas came up at the same time for me, and so I can't really imagine just doing one or the other. But my ideal would be to work as a teacher 4 days a week.
Yes,
and share my classroom with a different teacher on the fifth day, and spend doing the other piece rather than trying to do both at the same time on top of the marketing. So for me, if I could do 4 days as a teacher, my free time beyond that as a writer, and somebody else doing the marketing, I think that would be an ideal situation for me.
Brilliant. I love that.
I'd love to try it.
I've got a friend who did that, actually. She was a teacher, and I think she went down to 3 days teaching, writing for 2 days. And it's really working for her. So I think that's fantastic if you can. But you know, as they say, the more you write, the more there is to do as well, especially when it comes to the marketing side of things. But you'll get there.
It's the same as a teacher.
Absolutely. Oh wow, that's incredible.
They both keep me very busy.
Have you got any tips for aspiring authors? Maybe something that you learned along the way that you think is a valuable piece of advice to offer?
So I have spent a lot of my life as a perfectionist. And, you know, I used to say in interviews, I'm a perfectionist, as if it was a good thing. And I have learned that it is a horrible thing. It is not a good thing. You should not be a perfectionist. You've got to get over it. Holy, was that a lesson for me. So I read, have you heard of Brene Brown?
No.
She's she studied shame. And she's written books about it.
Has she done a TED Talk?
She has, TED Talk about vulnerability.
Yes, I have seen that.
Brene Brown.
Yeah.
She actually, that's one of the only books that I can say, yep, that book changed my life. She is fantastic. And ever since she came forward and talked about how much better it is to be vulnerable and to say, you know, I make mistakes and I'm learning, you actually have more power over your life than if you are a perfectionist and you're trying to control everything.
Right.
So I had to learn that lesson. And so one of the things that I say to new writers now is that you need to learn to separate yourself from your work. Your self-worth is not tied to what you create. Because if somebody comes in and then they criticize your work and you have the two tangled together, you are going to be personally hurt. You're going to feel rejected and terrible and heartbroken. But if you can go, okay, here's me, here's my work, you're criticizing this, you are not devaluing me as a person. This is something I can improve. This is something you cannot. So you need to untangle the two things. And the more you untangle, the better this will become.
And
you're not going to get defensive.
I mean, that is so wise, but I think also hard to do. You know, because as authors, we all write from an emotional place, so that emotion ends up in our books. And of course, you know, so have you been able to do that?
Yeah, I would say, you know, okay, so we all know Goodreads is a rough place to be for an author, right?
Yep.
So one of my first reviews on Goodreads was this mess. It was like it was grammatically awful, and this person claimed to be a writer and gave me generic writing advice like show don't tell, and I was like, no, really. Okay, I don't want to like attack a bad review,
but
right?
Still, it hurts, doesn't it?
Yeah, and as that was one of my first ones, I was like, is this person right? And I started looking at all these pieces and going, well, maybe they're right, well, maybe they're right. And my sister went, that was garbage. She said, did you see how that was written? None of that. She had actually read my book, and so she was able to tell me, you need to separate from, like, people are just going to say these things because they're on Goodreads, right? And so that was the one that I first had to really remind myself back up off of it, you know? And then after that, it got so much easier. That was just the first big and shocking. It was shocking. I just was like, what is this person saying? And I still don't know what they were saying because it was that ridiculous. But, you know, I've had a few that I've gone, oh, like, I think you're right. For example, there was one that said they had a little bit of trouble tracking the characters because there was so many in the first book. And I was like, oh, darn it, I think you're right. And I did it on purpose because I wanted the stakes to be real. I wanted to be able to kill people off. Right? So I had a reason for it. But they were right. And so it didn't hurt as much because I was able to look at it critically and go, you're not insulting me as a writer. You know, you're not insulting my identity. You're just saying, maybe next time you could look at that. And they're absolutely right. I could look at that next time.
The way that you've dealt with that is you know, to sift through these reviews and to push aside the ones that are relevant, to take on board the criticism that you recognize as something that you can improve on, is the most healthy attitude you can have as an author. And to not rally against all of those critiques, but to actually think, okay, well, my next book, I'm going to do this. And this is the wonderful thing about being a writer, is that we are always learning. There's no like perfect CEO end goal, you know, you've ticked every single box. You know, it just doesn't exist. So you can always learn, you can always try different styles, you can always do so much. And you know, there's not one book that is universally loved. And this is what I love to do. If you get a bad rejection, is to go on and Google your favorite book and then look at their 1-star reviews, because that, you know, and I'm like, I get angry on the author's behalf because I'm like, how dare you insult the Hunger Games or something, you know? I'm like, no. So that really helps actually put things in perspective, I think, doing that.
It does. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Putting it into perspective, that's so important, because we do get, like, that tangle is us having our face this close to our own book. You know? And we do need to back up and have a look at it and not be a perfectionist. You know, look at those critiques and go, yeah, I could do that better.
Yeah, good for you. You sound like you've learned and grown so much on your journey. And you know, you're only on book 2. I mean, not only on book 2, but you know, and you've got so much more. You've got such a long path to travel, and with more books, and it's so exciting to see where it's all going to go. You know, it's fantastic. I'm really pleased for you.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
Exactly.
Happy to finally be here and going.
Have you ever Googled yourself?
Oh yeah. I check in here and there.
Anything interesting come up? that you didn't expect?
Um, Not so far. I am super careful with my social media because I am a teacher.
Mm,
And so, I could get fired if I have something up there that's not appropriate.
sure,
So I keep it as clean as I can. Like, I don't even
absolutely.
have a personal Facebook account. I deleted
Yeah,
the whole thing
yeah,
because Facebook came out when I was in high school. So you can imagine the kinds
yeah,
of things that I got
yeah,
tagged
oh,
in,
yeah.
right?
Mm,
So I just was like, nah, I'm just going to delete it and not deal with sifting through it
yeah,
all. And so, um,
yeah,
a lot of what comes up is interviews and things that I have on my own website and
yeah,
obviously the book on Amazon.
yeah,
So it's pretty clean and things that I have on my own website and
yeah,
obviously the book on Amazon.
yeah,
So it's pretty clean.
yeah.
Um, Also, I have a relative who has almost the exact same name as
Ha. Yeah,
me. So she comes up sometimes in
yeah.
person.
How funny. How
What about you? Have you Googled yourself?
I, do you know, I don't, I think I Googled myself just to see how far up my website would come, and it was the first hit. And then I didn't really scroll through after that.
Nice.
I just,
Yeah.
I guess I bore myself. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah,
Well, you know yourself.
I think I know. I saw like my website and my Facebook and my Twitter, and I thought, oh, it's all there. I didn't
Yeah.
bother looking too much more. So, um, yeah, there we go. There we go. So, out of these books that you wrote before, do you
Mhm.
think you'll go back to any of them and have another look at them?
I don't have plans to. I
No.
do feel a bit comforted that they're there, that I could go back and have a look, but I just feel like I've grown so much since
Uh,
I wrote those that they would need drastic
uh,
changes and fixes. So, maybe, but
yeah.
I don't have plans to right now.
I
Yeah.
have. I
So
have
there's like,
this.
yeah, it must be
Yeah.
like five.
I have this book that I want to go back to. It keeps screaming at me, but I think it would actually be better if I just rewrote it rather than went back and
Mhm.
read it. I think that might work better, and then read it after and just see if there's any like nice little sentences I could just steal.
Yeah, that's actually a
Yeah,
good idea.
yeah, something like that. I think because I think the plot needs work, so I would need to replot it, and the story would essentially stay the same, but the motivations need to change. So maybe who knows? And I'm one that I can't give up on a book. I will go back to something again
It's
and again and again.
hard.
Yeah, I don't give up on my babies. No. Ew. Right, we have come to the part of the interview where it's fun question time. I mean, not that we've not been having fun, but it's like silly question time. So,
Okay.
as a writer, what would you choose as your mascot or spirit animal?
Ooh, as a writer,
Or, just
hmm,
as you, as a person.
as a person. Okay.
Yeah.
Tough one, tough one. I really like the idea of going mythical. Can I do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to pick a phoenix,
Oh, nice.
rising from the ashes, rebirth,
Yeah.
cycles. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely feel this circular
Yeah.
nature in writing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
The writing, the
Absolutely.
editing, the starting again,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that whole process.
God, I've never
Yeah.
really thought of it quite like that, but you're totally right. And I love the phoenix analogy. I think that's really cool. Fiery.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Right, if you could only eat one meal and drink one drink for the rest of your life, what would you choose?
Sushi, hands down. That's easy. I
Wow.
love a red dragon roll. Yep, I could eat it
Amazing.
every day.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, my husband gets so annoyed with me because he's always like, "Oh, what are we gonna have for dinner tonight?" And I'm like,
Sushi?
"Sushi." He's like, "No, we
Wow.
have to cook sometimes."
Yeah. Yeah. How funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely love it.
Cool.
And then a drink. Ooh, tough one. I guess I would be torn between a nice creamy coffee,
Yeah.
dairy-free
Yeah.
creamy coffee, or a whiskey ginger ale.
Yeah.
That's my go-to.
Yeah.
So, oof.
A whiskey girl. Look at you. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, big time. Yep. Oh, that's hard. I don't know if I could
Yeah,
pick one of them.
it is hard. It is hard. Yeah, I struggle between tea and prosecco. Those are my two. Yeah. Um,
Nice. Yeah.
yeah, no,
Well,
it's
one is for morning and one is for evening, you
yeah.
know.
Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, no,
Well,
it's
one is for morning and one is for evening, you
yeah.
know.
Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah. So it's yeah, or just both all day long, you know. Um, what's your favorite color? Oh, are you still
Yeah.
there? Yeah, you're there.
Yeah,
Yellow.
easy choice. I mean, look at Hazels Shadow, right?
Okay. Blue.
Sorry?
Blue.
Blue. Oh yeah, blue.
Blue. Blue. Blue.
Definitely.
Cool. Me too. Um,
And it has been my whole life. Here's my engagement ring. Blue.
oh, sapphire.
Yeah.
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 Nice. Nice. I like sapphire. Sapphire's my birthstone. Do
Oh, is
you?
that? Oh, cool.
Yeah. Do you have any pets?
I do. I have a cat. I don't know where she is right now. Her name is Amelia, after Amelia Pond from Doctor Who.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know where she is. She's kind of funny looking. She's gray and white, but she has a gray patch here and here, so she looks a bit crooked, which is really cute.
That is cute. Is she cuddly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does she cuddle?
She's a bit of both. She likes to cuddle when it's cold outside.
Yeah.
As soon as the weather changes, all of a sudden she's your best friend again.
Right. Are you a Marvel fan or would you go DC?
Marvel all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big time. I do love Batman.
Yeah.
I love the dark, brooding energy, but you also get that with Daredevil in Marvel, and Daredevil was my absolute favorite Marvel one.
Right. True. Yeah. I like the humor.
Yeah, have you seen that one?
No, not Daredevil. I'm thinking Deadpool. I don't think I have seen Daredevil.
Oh, Daredevil. Oh, I loved Daredevil.
Yeah, I think I'll have to watch that one. We are
it was almost like angsty.
Right, all of the movies in chronological order with the kids at the moment. So we've just finished Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I think. No, did we have another? I think we had another event. Oh no, we had Avengers. Not part of the 3, but the other one, Avengers something. I can't remember what it was called now. Yeah, so we're working our way through the whole.
I'm thinking Endgame.
It was the one.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah, no, really fun. I love those movies. Yeah, apart from, I will say for DC, the series they've done on Titans on Netflix, I think it's incredible.
Oh
yeah. So,
is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really good.
I might have to check that out.
Yeah, it's so good. There's been 2 seasons so far, and the 3rd season was supposed to come out earlier this year, but things happen. So. Okay, there's 2 parts to this next question. What 3 books would you take to a desert island or give to an alien? They might not be the same.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or give to an alien. Huh. I'm just looking at my bookshelf here thinking.
Inspiration.
Yeah. Okay, I feel like the Brené Brown book would be a good move.
Yeah.
Especially for an alien.
Yeah.
Because it can help you understand humanity.
Yes. Good.
So that's probably the one that's called I Thought It Was Just Me, But It Isn't. It's a very long title. I think that one. Yeah. That was a good one. Or there's the smaller one, which was the 10 Guideposts. Oh, shoot. What was that one called? It was 10 Guideposts for Living Wholeheartedly. I think that was it. And it's just a itty bitty little book. It gives you the 10 points that you need and a little bit of a background on them. And it was it's a really nice, fast read. Yeah. So probably one Brené Brown book anyway.
Yeah.
And then for fun, I really liked S.A. Chakrabarty's City of Brass. Have you read that?
No, have not.
Oh my gosh, so good. Okay. So there's City of Brass, Kingdom of Copper, and Empire of Gold. It's a trilogy.
Okay.
And it's set in Egypt.
Yeah.
Well, for a little while it's set in Egypt, and then the main character finds a djinn and goes on this adventure into this whole other like invisible city.
Wow.
And it's like there's political intrigue, there's magic, and it's just in a different location with diversity. And it was just like the best fantasy book I have read as an adult.
Okay.
They're so good. I highly recommend.
Yeah.
And it was funny because the custodian at the school that I was working at found out that I liked books, and he was like, "Oh, you have to read this."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Sure, why not?" Right?
Yeah.
And then I read it and was like,
Yeah.
"You are not kidding. This
Yeah.
is like up there. This is
Wow. Okay.
good writing."
Okay.
And
Check it out.
just like I admire that author so much because some of the things that they did with it was like it started off with a relationship that you're kind of like, this is kind of questionable, and then in the end you're like it started off with a relationship that you're kind of like, this is kind of questionable, and then in the end you're like, oh, okay, like
Yeah.
mad respect for this author for going in this particular
Yeah. Yeah.
direction with it.
Cool.
Like it was, you gotta read it. It's good.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
Okay,
Especially if you like gas.
I swear, since I've been on BookTok, my wish list, like I just shove all the books on my wish list that I want to read because then I know they're there, and then when I want to buy one, I just move it. You know, it's gotten so long, you know, and also I've been researching comparison titles for my Amazon ads, and you know, you can get dumps from Goodreads and Publisher Rock and stuff, but I have to go through them because you have to make sure that erotica hasn't slipped in.
It makes sense.
You know, all that kind of stuff. But the more books I look up, I think, oh, that's cool. Add to basket. That's cool. You know, I'm like, stop buying the books. So
I know it's so hard. Yeah, I use my library a lot. That helps, but they don't always have the most up-to-date stuff, right?
Yeah, and
so I can go back and get things that were recommended a year ago.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's just okay because I don't necessarily get to things when they're hot. You know, it can take me a while. My husband was asking me what I wanted for Christmas, and I was like, well, books. And he's like, I'm not buying you books when you have 100 on your shelf you haven't read. And I'm like, but I like books, you know. That's all.
It feels good to have all these books.
Yeah, books and crowns. That's what I need. Yeah. He won't buy me a crown because I have 9 now, so
you're done now.
Oh, I'm not done. He might think I'm done. I'm not.
He's done. I know I bought the one and my husband was like, what's that for?
Yeah. Well,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say when I first joined BookTok and I'm seeing all these crowds, and I'm like, what the hell is wrong with people? Is this a cult? You know, I've just joined, and now I'm like, I have 9 crowns. So yeah,
you've joined the cult.
Yeah, fully converted. I did not need any brainwashing. It was just sparkly and shiny. Here, have one of these and books. I mean, yay!
Right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So for me, when I got the crown, I was thinking I had just finished the second book. I finished writing it, and I was like, I still can't celebrate. You know, second book is done and I still can't have a launch party. So, I mean, I'm not published, but like done writing. And I thought like, I'd like to celebrate.
Yeah.
And so when the anniversary came around of the first book, the first year it had been out, I bought myself a crown and I put it on and I wandered around all day wearing a crown on my head and just being like, I wrote a novel. It's a year old and I wrote another one. And I just felt so powerful wearing this crown around. It's just one of those ways that I had to learn how to celebrate myself by myself and just feel how far I'd come.
Yeah.
So the crown helped me do that.
Well, and this is it. I mean,
I know it's silly, but
my last book came out in May and I didn't do anything for it. And actually with my new one coming out in December, I thought, actually, no, I'm going to, because, you know, my husband's not in the book world. He, you know, he's just like, oh, yay, it's your book day, la la, you know, I mean, if I'm lucky. And I'm like, you know, you could buy me a little gift just to, you know, all the accomplishment. So I've decided to have an online launch. So actually I've got it pinned to my details. I keep meaning to invite, everyone's invited. So I just thought, I'm not going to let it pass me by. I'm going to wear my crown, a crown that doesn't fall off. But I like this idea. I'm thinking every book I publish and every anniversary, I should just get a new crown. I think I like this. Yeah. This is a great, This is a great idea. Yeah.
You know, mine actually came in handy too because I don't know if over there you do like spirit days for in schools.
No,
so
they don't
my school
have that here. Yeah, no, not yet anyway.
So one of them is Crazy Hat Day. So I was like, I don't really have lots of hats. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wear my BookTok crown. And so I wore it, and my students were like, "Is that real?" And I was like, yeah, it's my crown. And they were like, well, what are you queen of? And I said,
Yeah.
well, I'm a princess. I'm a princess of Ireland, actually, because I have family there and they knew that I got married in Ireland. So then I showed them a picture of me in my wedding dress in Ireland and they were like, it's real.
Wow, that's so
It's
cool.
so fun.
Oh, how cute. That's
Oh, they're so
brilliant.
sweet.
Yeah. What are they? Five? Five going on six in kindergarten? Is that
Yeah,
the age? Yeah.
I actually have a couple 4-year-olds
Oh,
too. They're
right.
very young this year, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
it was fun.
that is adorable.
Got to feel like a princess for a day.
Yeah. 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 Who wouldn't? Yeah. All right. Here is your last. Oh, actually, I'll ask you this one first. What is your
Okay.
favorite kind of TV show or movie? Like, what have you been really into of late? It doesn't have to be like of all time, or it can be of all time if you have a favorite of all time. Yeah. What do you enjoy?
So I suppose spooky season has helped. I am right in my niche answering
Yeah.
this with my book too. This is actually working out perfect because I don't always love these, but I've been watching lots of scary shows
Yeah.
lately. So I watched The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, and Bly Manor and Midnight Mass recently.
Yes.
And all three like blew me away. They were so good, particularly The Haunting of Hill House. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that was
Exceptional.
amazing.
It's exceptional. That.
So good. And I will definitely rewatch that.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
But
It
yeah,
was proper scary, wasn't it?
you've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so
It,
scary.
yeah.
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 And if you
Fantastic.
watch in the background, there's always like a ghost in every scene. There's a ghost in the background. So if you pay
Okay.
close attention, it's like there's one, there's one, there's one. Like it just
Wow.
the detail that went into that,
Oh, yeah.
so
It
impressive.
was so
And that one
clever.
kept me up at night.
Yeah. It was so cleverly done. The foreshadowing in that series
Hmm.
was exceptional. Yeah, I think I will go back and watch it because I think it's been a couple of years since I've watched it, and it was so good. Yeah. Whew. But the
Yeah,
Bly Manor one,
scary.
I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know if I finished that. It was very slow in comparison.
It
I
was.
thought, yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah, you're right.
I start to kind of, you know, um, yeah, but and then yeah, Midnight
Yeah.
Mass, that was
I,
incredible.
I think it's the ending of that one that's more kind of haunting. And
Right.
I think that's
Yeah.
because it was different in that way.
Yeah.
There were like creepy things along the way, but
Yeah.
the ending, when you think about it, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Might be worth going through. But
I
have you
do.
seen
Yeah.
Midnight Mass?
Yeah. Thought that was didn't know anything about it actually until I watched it and I had seen the trailers and I thought, well, that's right up my street. And so I
Mhm.
didn't know what it really was, and then so I was quite surprised. I didn't see that coming, and then
Mhm.
yeah, and then I thought it was really well done. Yeah, really dark.
Yeah,
You know.
very dark.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really loved the exploration of like religious death and
Yes.
sort of atheist death and the two
Yes.
ideas and how they link and
Yeah.
where they don't. Like the way they explored that was so interesting.
Really
But there
fascinating.
was some really long monologues that I was like, okay, wrap it up.
Do you know what? Even I'm not a particularly religious person, but I found it fascinating, and I didn't lose
Hmm.
interest in those parts because I felt
Yeah.
it was just he was I don't know who the actor is who played the priest, but he was exceptional.
Yeah.
I thought in the way that
Mhm.
he played that role. I mean, perfectly
Yeah.
cast. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I grew up Roman Catholic, and
Yeah,
so my husband, as we were watching it, he was like, "You didn't do this stuff growing up, did you?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, like we put the
yeah,
ash on our
yeah,
foreheads." And
yeah,
he was
yeah,
like, "You
yeah,
were in a cult."
yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
no, I was
"Dude."
also Roman Catholic raised, and yeah, no, all of that stuff. It's I went to a convent school, and
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I've had friends who've been in therapy because of the amount of religion and the amount, just yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah,
There are things that
yeah,
can be like, I mean, the show was talking about like some of the corruption inside
yeah,
of the Catholic Church, right? So yeah,
yeah,
some of that's there. Some
yeah,
of that you need to unlearn.
yeah,
Yep, for sure.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was very real. That show was just, yeah. But you're right, the way he talks and does his
yeah,
sermons and the way he like builds the energy into
yeah,
the crowd, it was like, yeah, that's what priests do. They
yeah,
try to make you feel, yeah,
absolutely,
and it was well done,
yeah, yeah, so well done. That was
but creepy.
that's good. Yeah. Right, here's your last question. Have you got
Hmm.
any talents that would help you survive the Hunger Games?
Ooh, that's a cool question.
Mm.
So, okay, I have back problems, and that
Yeah,
really
me too.
gets in my way.
Yeah,
Do you?
yeah, yeah. I have a
Oh
slip disc.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
have had injury after injury.
Oh,
I feel like every 5 years I've had a bad injury, and so my back has never been able to recover. But I'm working on it. So, like, there was a time when I would have been like, oh yeah, I'd be in there fighting and I'd be feisty and like really surprise
yeah.
people. But now I'm like,
Hi.
I've been injured and I know how to stop
Yeah,
where my limit is, and that doesn't help you
yeah.
survive an Hunger Games situation. But
Well,
I suppose knowing your limits could help.
yeah. Do you
Maybe.
know? I think maybe it just makes you less impulsive, think things through,
Mm,
hide
yeah,
rather than fight. So it might, yeah, just make you.
that could help.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm the same. I mean, I've had back problems since I was 19, and
Yeah, same here.
yeah, yeah. I don't.
It's rough.
I can swim. I swim a lot, but
Oh yeah, I'm a good swimmer. I could do
um,
that one too.
I don't. Yeah, yeah. That's about it, really.
I have pretty good aim. I could
Yes, actually, I
probably
do too.
like throw a knife or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's a
could
good
throw.
one because you're from a
Yeah,
distance.
I could shoot a gun. I have shot like rifles at camps, this sleepaway camp. I am a really good
Yeah.
shot. We don't actually have
Ah, nice.
guns, but they don't really have guns in the Hunger Games, do they? They just. But I think knife
I
throwing.
suppose not.
I was talking. So there's knife throwing in one of my books, and
Mm.
my editor was like, "Well, she's not going to learn how to throw a knife overnight. It takes time. It's really hard, because she actually throws knives." And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I wanted to kind of gloss over that, but because you have to balance the rotations with the weight.
Mm.
Uh, there's a lot.
Uh,
There's a lot you have to think about, and I think people who are good at knife throwing must do it for months and months and months and months and months. I just think it's one of those skills that is so hard. Not that I've actually ever
interesting.
tried it. I've never actually tried it. I should go and try it in the back garden
You
when my
should.
yeah when my
Yeah.
kids are not there.
So I've tried axe throwing before for my
Wow.
bachelorette party. We went axe throwing. I know that sounds hilarious,
That
but there's this
does.
this place that does it. So we went, and it is hard because of the rotation. Yeah, because you
Yeah.
need the axe to hit the wall and not the handle to hit the wall, and
Yeah.
so pulling off that timing is quite tricky.
Wow.
But they also let us do two axes, so we got to like double throw at the target on the wall.
Oh,
The abs that it takes to
yes.
hurl an axe, you got to like,
Yeah. Heavy.
it's
Yeah.
tricky.
And did you ever end up like hitting your back, as you're doing that? Like,
No,
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 no.
yeah. I I don't know. There's just something
Yeah.
about the way you
Something.
throw it that sort of just like that would never really happen. But when we went, there was a video going around of some woman who did it, and the axe ricocheted off the wall and flew back at her. And so my whole group was just like,
Scared.
we just saw this, and here we are doing this. And the guy was like, the fluke for that to
Yeah.
happen was just like so unusual that they were like, you really don't need to worry about it. But
No,
I mean,
I
if it
would
happened
worry. That's the
once,
kind of thing that would get stuck in my head, and I would fixate
yeah,
on that. Yeah. Yeah.
we were a bit nervous about
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
But maybe I could
that's
bring
so
axe
cool.
throwing to the Hunger Games.
Yeah. Oh,
It was
yeah.
fun.
Look, you can axe throw. What are you talking about? I haven't got any talents. You can throw an axe. That's brilliant.
I can't pretend I was super good at it, but
You
I
could be
mean, if
on
an
my
axe is coming
team.
at you, you're going to get out of the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. I can just go batshit crazy and scream my head off. Then, yeah, that I can do too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
just bring out the like terrifying face and the like the guttural scream and just scare people away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah. Yeah. And crowns, obviously, because they bring magical powers.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, just make people think you're absolutely insane and they will
Yeah.
just steer clear.
That's true. That's true. I think I could do that. Yeah. Right.
I
So
think that's an underrated one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, it is. I used to do that with my brother when I've got an older brother, and when he would wrestle when we were younger and we would wrestle, I would just get down on the floor before he could trip me up and throw me down there, and I would just kick and punch, on my back like a turtle,
Yeah.
just kicking back. But it worked because he wouldn't be able to get near me because I would just be,
Mm.
flailing on my arms and legs, and I
Yeah.
looked absolutely ridiculous. But it did keep him away. So, and then I
Yeah.
would get down on the floor before he could get me down on the floor. So yeah, that was my method.
So you were in charge. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that makes me think of cats, right? That's what cats do. That's how they fight.
Oh, right.
They get all their weapons up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's true.
So you're a cat.
Yeah. Never thought myself as a cat, but tiger. Yeah, I like a tiger. I'll think of myself as a tiger.
Yeah, tiger. There you go.
Yeah. That's good. I can do that. Wow, that's cool. Right, that was our last question. The end of our chat. That has been so much fun. Thank you for coming to chat with me. And I'd love to do it again, maybe when you have another book coming and we can see how Hazel's journey continues, potentially. Hopefully.
I'd love that. Yeah.
That would be fantastic.
For sure.
Right. Okay. So
yeah, this has been really fun. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So enjoy the rest of your day. I will be going to bed shortly because it's late over here now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But thank you so much, and we'll do it again soon. Good.
Perfect. Sounds good. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, and that was my chat with Nicole MacCarron, author of Hazels Shadow and Hazels Mirror, both out at the moment. They are young adult, ghosty, creepy stories, perfect for this time of year. So go check them out.